Hey, how's it going, everyone? I'm Chris, and today I'm going to be showing you some updates on my bonsai trees. Let's get into it. Alright, so first up we have the big Crassula bonsai here. As you can see, it is leafing out all over the place. Little shoots growing out from everywhere. It's looking really good. My clump style Ficus here is doing pretty good. My jacarandas looks like they're bouncing back. You can see it's got little shoots coming out everywhere. Most of these ones have died, but there's still one hanging in there. You can see it's got some shoots coming out. The big willow, unfortunately, I think is toast. Not sure what happened there, but you know, it happens. One of my citrus trees here, the lemon tree, looks like it's also died back too. I think there was just too much cold or something. Not sure what happened, but yeah. My lime tree looks like it's hanging in there, but it hasn't leafed out yet this spring, so hopefully it leaves out pretty soon. The hibiscus there doesn't look like it's doing too well either. I think it may have gone too cold there for a bit, and the foliage died back. So hopefully now that it's warming up again, it'll start leafing out again. My big Torrey Pine here. There was big old giant candles. You can see them down there sticking out. So I've pruned off a bunch of the candles, pruned back the ones that I kept. So hopefully the idea behind that is to push some of the sap back to these smaller shoots down here. Eventually I'm going to do a chunk chop about right here. Just haven't gotten around to it. Got my California live oak or coast live oak. It's doing pretty good. You can see it's got some buds here starting to push out. The sycamore, it's leafed out again after I did that pruning recently, so that's doing pretty good. I got my cottonwood here. Had some long shoots on it. I pruned a bunch of them back, but it's doing pretty good so far. My apple tree hasn't quite leafed out yet this spring. I think that little pear down there might be done for as well. This other coast live oak, you can see this big old shoot has grown since this spring, so it's doing really well. I forget what this is, some kind of oak, a native oak. It's doing pretty well. You can see it's pushing out some giant buds there, so that's doing really well. I also did some recent pruning on this as well. The Manzanita here, I forget what variety it is there. The label that I had for it is faded, so I can't quite read it, but some kind of Manzanita. It's looking really well. You can see these big long shoots here have grown since the spring. This other Manzanita here isn't doing as well, but you can see it does have some new healthy growth on it, but it does also have quite a lot of dieback. I think it just got too cold for it. The Texas sage, did a bit of pruning on that as well, but it's looking good. This other Manzanita here I think is completely dead, unfortunately. And then we have the Torrey Pine back there. You can see the candles growing out nicely on that. Also have the Baja Fairy Duster. You can see it's doing pretty well. It's got a bunch of seed pods on it. I think it's due for pruning. My other jacaranda that I thought was dead is pushing out new shoots down at the bottom there, so it looks like it's recovering well. My Chinese elm, it had big long shoots on it, so I did a little trim on that. It's looking good. Leafing out again this spring. My fig, edible fig here, is, you can see, is starting to leaf out. It's doing well. The other Torrey Pine, the small Torrey Pine that I have in the orchid pot that I did a trunk chop on, it's doing well. Starting to push out some more growth out of these lower shoots. It's doing really well. My little ficus cuttings, they're doing well. My cholla cactus is doing pretty good. It looks like you can see it's growing some new shoots here. You can see those little red clusters. This little juniper is doing well. My cholla cactus here, the cuttings that I took off of that cholla there, are doing well. The crassula here is doing okay. I think this little juniper cutting there's a little bit of green left on there, but I think it's probably toast as well. This golem jade here is doing well. This deadly eye is doing really well too. It's about doubled in size, I think, since I got it. This Aleppo Pine here that it's about, I think, a 2-year-old seedling at this point. Maybe a year and a half. It's doing really well as well. You can see it's growing a ton of little shoots down at the bottom here, so I think pretty soon I'm going to do a chop here and grow out those lower shoots again. You can see the little planter I have here for my succulent cuttings is doing really well. Everything's growing like crazy. See, I got this big golem jade. These 2 big golem jades here, doing really well. Got a bunch of these little crassula, tetragonias, doing really well. The pepper plant, you can see there's a ton of peppers on it. It's just coming back from dormancy from the winter. The pomegranate tree, you can see, is basically in full leaf now, so that's going to need a prune pretty soon. You can see all these shoots, this much has grown since the spring, so it's doing really good, really healthy. The California pepper tree, or Peruvian pepper tree, you can see it's got a bunch of new shoots everywhere that I pruned it this most recent time, so it's doing really well. The rosemary down here is doing really well as well. All these shoots are new growth from this spring as well. There's a bunch of jade cuttings in here too that are doing really well. All of these peppers in this pot here, these jalapenos and serranos, you can see are coming back from the spring. It's just starting to leaf out pretty much everywhere. It's looking really nice. The lavender that I did recently is taken off as well. You can see there's a bunch of new shoots here that have grown up since I did that work on it. So it's looking really good, really healthy. It's even got a bunch of flowers, so that's cool. This desert rose here, all the foliage died back. I think it got a bit too cold for it. It looks still green and alive, so I'm hoping that it'll start leafing out pretty soon, now that the weather's warming up again. This little crassula here is doing really well. It's growing nice looking foliage here. Just turn that to face it towards the sun again. This acacia, or actually I'm not quite sure what it is. I think it's an acacia. It's doing really well. I did a chop on it. It was growing up above this top shelf here, so I cut it way back, and now it's got a bunch of side shoots growing out. The Crassula tetragona behind it is looking really healthy. Might need a trim soon. And I got a couple more succulents there, doing well. The sick ficus that I did the major rescue operation on last couple of months ago is doing really well. It does have a little bit of, sickly looking leaves, but it also has a bunch of new shoots coming out, so it looks like the operation was successful. So hopefully as the weather starts to warm up, this thing will take off and come back into full vigor. This giant Coreopsis here is doing really well as well. Yep, looking nice and healthy and bushy. These juniper cuttings are doing really well. Looks like I only really lost one of them. Everything else seems to be still growing and looking good. There's more cholla cuttings. Looking good, growing out new shoots. Some more succulents down here, look like they're doing well. Oh, this one's drying up here. Maybe it could use a bit of water, but it's looking healthy still, so it's looking good. Then back here, the Calico, or Calico. You can see it's shooting out everywhere that I did some pruning on it, so it's doing really well, looking really healthy. We got some more Crassula tetragona over here. Again, everything's growing really well with these succulents here. This is a perfect climate for succulents, so all the succulents that I have are doing super well. This habanero plant here looks like it's still alive, but hasn't quite broken dormancy since the winter, so hopefully that'll come back. It looks like my poblano, though, isn't going to come back, I don't think. It looks pretty dead. And over here I have the little lemon trees growing at the base of these carrots here. No real updates on those. Look what they're just hanging in there. My hurricane-styled chili de arbol coming back from dormancy. You can see it does have some growth still on the cascade branch, which is good. I was hoping to keep that. Down here we got the tobacco tree. Again, I did a big prune on that pretty recently. It's looking good. Got a couple smaller ones down here. You can see there's some caterpillars or something eating them. I also prune back this one. So yeah, that's doing well. And what else do we have? Still got a bunch of plants. I'm not sure what these are. You can see these are some kind of succulent. I got some aloe, some more succulents up at Calico, Golem Jade down there. But I'm not quite sure what this one is. But it looks like it's doing okay. Looks like it's even pushing out some, look like maybe flower buds, I'm not sure. But that's doing well. There's also a couple of little pine seedlings in there. I suspect that these are Aleppo Pines. There's a bunch of Aleppo Pines that are planted as landscaping trees around this area, so I suspect that that's what these are, but I'm not sure, not 100% sure at least. But they're doing okay. And then there's the big Portulacaria. This looks like it's some kind of creeping variety. You can see it's just kind of growing, cascading down. So I might turn that into turn some of these into a cascade bonsai. You can take these as cuttings, and they root really readily from cuttings. So I think that's what I'll plan to do with these. The other half of that big crassula is doing okay. It's got some kind of ivy or something growing out of it as well. Not sure what that is, but it looks pretty cool. I'm keeping it. Alright. And yeah, I think that's it. Alright, that's all for today. Don't forget, if you like this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and if you want to see more videos like this or updates on these and other bonsai trees in the future, don't forget to turn on the notifications when you do subscribe. And thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time.